If not for anything, just to hit the sponsor and talk a little bit.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of Inclusion Matters podcast with Inclusion Pro Wrestling. Tonight, our host, the crippled Messiah, who may or may still not love Orange Cassidy, but he finally decided he needed to eat some crow. We'll get into that much later in the show, I'm sure. Again, Principal Tap's actually on time today and doesn't get a demerit. But as far as I'm concerned, you're both ugly and you both sound like paint dries. So we just came online for just a little bit tonight to talk about some stuff and some more stuff. Maybe talk a little Inclusion Pro Wrestling and the card. Seems how we have some haters out there that think that because we have tickets on sale and don't have a card out that we are a worthless promotion and don't know what the hell we're doing. So I won't mention any names of the doubters, but I still want to be able to put a little bit of stuff out there. So first topic that we're going to discuss is, I know here a couple of weeks ago, a travesty, and I mean a travesty, happened in AEW where Mr. CM Punk, again, we're sorry, Phil, that you lost your job so unjustly from AEW. And I, myself, and Principal Tap actually took your side. And the crippled Messiah, man, he dogged your ass and dogged your ass and dogged your ass and called you no good and how you deserve to be fired and blah, 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 blah. And now I think Mr. Messiah might be changing his tune and coming to the good side only because he feels left out being on the bad side. Or maybe he actually did what we always say that we do and do the proper research before drawing a proper conclusion. So with that, I guess I can introduce to you the host with the most, who only sounds like paint drying to certain people. And sometimes me, just because I give him a hard time. But anyways, I think I'm going to turn it over to the Messiah right now.
And as the host of this podcast, I will say to Mr. CM Punk, sir, I apologize. I jumped to a conclusion that I shouldn't have jumped to. After doing extensive research into the situation, you were unjustly fired. From all the stuff that I've read, which again could just be a rumor because it's all been online, but based on the opinion that I've formed on everything that I've read, the ones that are really to be blamed should be the Young Bucks. And I say that because from the stuff that I've read, the Young Bucks canceled a meeting that them and Hangman Page were supposed to have with CM Punk, where he was trying to extend an olive branch to squash this whole thing, like a true professional should. And they canceled that for no reason. And then in that same report, which again could still be a rumor because those happen a lot on the internet, they canceled his transportation, which has been verified that he had a hard time getting to the arena in London. Now, I do want to say this. I've got a record, and everybody on this podcast has got a record that said we were fans of the Young Bucks and their talent. That for me hasn't changed. Talent-wise, they're one of the best tag teams in the world. Professional-wise, if these rumors are true and you guys did this to CM Punk, and you're supposed to be the EVPs of the company, shame on you. in wrestling, you should never put yourself above any other performer. And just because you're the Young Bucks and everybody strokes your ego by telling you you're the best in the world, ironic, I know, in tag team wrestling, doesn't mean you can screw with other people's livelihoods. Or, here's something for you guys to think about. Was it jealousy? Were the Young Bucks jealous because CM Punk was making more money for AEW than they were? And let me tell you where I came to that conclusion. When was the last time, other than All Out or All In, excuse me, that the Young Bucks had a meaningful title match? When was the last time that the Bucks were in a substantial storyline, other than the times that they were with Kenny Omega? Yet CM Punk has been in the ring with guys on a consistent basis, like Samoa Joe, like MJF, like Darby Allin, ever since he's been in AEW, or was in AEW, because he got unjustly fired. So, in my opinion, and I might get right through the coals for this, I think they were jealous. I think Kenny Omega tried to get away from it. I think Hangman Page has some issues with CM Punk. But I think the Young Bucks took it too far. Thoughts?
I think you hit the nail right on the button.
Are you trying to get me riled up on the Young Bucks?
No, I'm just giving my opinion.
No, I mean, I agree that, you finally came to the right side of this after being scolded like a dog and trying to be proven wrong and all that. But, it's not a right or wrong thing. What the Bucks did as an EVP of AEW is 100% completely wrong. And maybe it was the Young Bucks that actually should have lost their jobs. Maybe it was the Young Bucks who should be stranded at the airport and trying to find their way in. Maybe people should quit stroking their ego that they're the best brother tag team of all time, because in my opinion, they're still like number 3 on the brother list.
Mm-hmm.
The top tag team, unfortunately, can never prove how good they really were because of his untimely passing earlier this year with the Briscoe brothers. And I actually hold Matt and Jeff Hardy higher on the brother tag team list than I hold Matt and Nick.
I agree. I was just going to say, I don't think they're the best brother tag team in AEW.
Even Cody and Dustin were a better tag team brothers than the Young Bucks.
Yes. And here's the reason, in my opinion, why. The Young Bucks, unlike the Hardys, unlike the Briscoes, God rest you, Jay Briscoe, and unlike Dustin and Cody, all the Hardys and all of them can wrestle multiple styles. Can the Young Bucks? Not really. If you put the Young Bucks up against a bigger tag team, they can't use their high-flying stuff. They don't have a submission game. where Matt has the what's it that I can't remember what he calls it, but it's that like the wing clipper that he turns into a sleeper. Um, and here's the other thing. Unlike the Briscoes, when was the last time the Young Bucks had a singles championship? Or unlike the Hardys, when was the last time the Bucks had a singles championship? They didn't.
They
They
haven't.
have. And in my opinion, there's only one place for CM Punk to go, and I want to get your guys' opinion on this, and that's WWE. Thoughts?
Um, go ahead, Tap. I'll let you start again.
Go ahead, Nate. I'm working on something real quick.
Well, I already said my point. I was getting your guys' opinion. So
Okay,
go.
well, I guess all roads lead to me, and I think it's very interesting that all roads actually lead back to the WWE for Mr. CM Punk. Do I think it's going to be as early as Survivor Series? Everybody remembers he was fired and let go of his contract.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, that means he's a free agent and he could sign with any company he wants at any time that he wants.
Right.
So do I think CM Punk's coming to WWE? Absolutely. Just how soon? It could be the same day as our show.
Yeah.
It could be in January at the Royal Rumble.
Which is what's announced today will be in Tampa.
So it's just a matter of where WWE wants to debut one of arguably still, and I know Nathan still disagrees on this point a little bit, but arguably still he's one of the best in the world.
One of? Yes.
But, is he the best in the world anymore? No, but he is one of the best still at what he does.
Yes, and this is going to shock you. I thought about this today just in case we didn't have a guest. To me, the best in the world right now is MJF. If you look at the full package of everything, he would have to be the best in the world right now.
See, and that is kind of where I disagree with you. Yes, MJF is probably within the top 2 or 3, but the best in the world at what he's doing right now, you know where I'm going with this.
It will always be CM Punk.
No, you know where I'm going with this. He is the man who went to London, England, and put that little pipsqueak Orange Cassidy in a bloody crimson face mask and choked his ass out and took his little title.
You mean Chicago?
Oh, I guess it was Chicago. That's right.
You're right.
See, I would.
It was
Choke the little
Moxley
choke the
is
little-
the best.
pipsqueak out. He is Cincinnati's own John Moxley.
See, and in all due respect, I would disagree with. I would put Moxley 2 right behind MJF, but it's a close number 2.
MJF hasn't done anything but cheat to keep his titles, just like Roman Reigns.
Yes, but unlike Roman Reigns, MJF at least is on TV every week.
Yeah, every now and again, yes, but still.
So what
I
I,
mean,
was
do we want champions that cheat,
nope.
or do we want champions that actually can go out day in and day out, defend their titles, and do it with class, with dignity, and with style? And yes, he may bleed a little bit every now and again. Okay, honestly, he may bleed all the time, but
I
still.
was going to say a little bit. But let me ask you this, though. Ever since MJF has turned over to the face side of his thing, which, by the way, has been brilliant so far, when was the last time he cheated?
That's very, I mean, you got a point, yes. But still, I'm still not 100% sure MJF is going to stay face.
Well, no, I'm not either, but. And this might give me a little bit of heat, but I don't care. Right now, to me, Roman Reigns is the weakest champion in wrestling right now.
No argument there, Nathan.
Why would you get heat from that? That's the truth.
Well, I mean, some people like Roman Reigns, so I might get heat for that. But he's
I
the
mean-
weakest champion right now.
I mean, Roman Reigns doesn't defend his title every pay-per-view. He gets days off whenever the hell he wants. And he gets to choose who he defends his title against. Unlike AEW, where if you want a title defense, you pretty much get it.
The strongest champion right now in WWE, and I don't think you guys are going to argue with this point right now, is Seth Freaking Rollins.
No argument.
Again, no argument. What that man can do with a broken freaking back, no pun intended, Mr. Kurt Angle with a broken freaking neck. But I think the broken freaking back is probably a lot worse than the broken neck.
Mm-hmm.
And what he's done is amazing. But I mean, come on, WWE, did you really, truly have to give Miss Messiah a championship too? I mean, was she crying that badly that she wasn't a women's champion, that you had to take her down to NXT and give her a title off of a rookie? I mean, come on.
See, I love that. And I'll tell you why. There's two reasons why I love that. Then I'll let Tab talk about what he was doing playing tennis with himself, because his eyes kept darting back and forth, and get his opinion. The two reasons I love that was, let's be fair, Becky Lynch was getting stale on the main roster because they kept sticking her with Trish or people that she'd already wrestled. So at least going down to NXT, she's gonna have a bunch of fresh opponents. Number two, the benefit to Tiffany Stratton, who I can't stand her character, so obviously she's doing a very good job. That elevated Tiffany Stratton for the style of the match that she had last night with Becky Lynch. to a whole nother level. I still don't think she's ready for the main roster, unlike what Principal Taps thinks she should be. But I think she just elevated herself to the one of the top female wrestlers on NXT. And that's saying something considering she was the champion before last night.
It's like I said before, I believe they're going to do something with her and Imperium. When? I don't know.
Again, not to be argumentative, but why would Tiffany Stratton go with Imperium?
Again, I just don't know. I just have this funny feeling in my gut that they're going to try and work an angle with her. But on a different topic, I want you guys to tell me what you think of my top 12 brother tag teams.
12, good lord.
Number 1, the Briscoes. Number 2, the Hardys. Number 3, Cody and Dustin Rhodes. Number 4, Harlem Heat. Number 5, the Steiners. 6 is Dory and Terry Funk. Then you got the Von Erichs, the Wild Samoans, the Malinkos, the Fultons, the Head Shrinkers, and the Hardys. Or, I mean, the Young Bucks.
The Malenko.
Yeah, it was Dean and Joe Malenko.
What a tag team. They only wrestled in WCW once.
But again, they're still a brother tag team.
Then you got to put them at the bottom.
And then, well, there's a. I only did 12 out of the 20. There's a top 20 list. I'm not going to go through it all 20.
And as far as Harlem Heat, as much as I loved Harlem Heat, as much as I wanted to see Harlem Heat in WWE, you got to put the Steiners above Harlem Heat.
But in my opinion, Harlem Heat was a better tag team than the Steiners because a lot of people did not want to work with the Steiners.
Well, here's the reason why I say you should put the Steiners above Harlem Heat is their longevity. There's very few wrestling tag teams that wrestled in both the NWA and then later the WCW and then the WWE and in Japan and still kept going up until, I believe, well, with Scott, it was the mid 2000s. I think Rick retired not long after WCW closed down. So I think for me, that longevity would put the Steiners above Harlem Heat.
But my list is being too kind to some of these brother tag teams, though.
And I think, personally, I don't know who I would move out of it, but I would put the Von Erichs and the Funks a little bit higher on that list than what they were.
What again? I just wrote them out quickly, so.
The Von Erichs, because without the Von Erichs, and I do mean all the Von Erichs, I don't think the Sportatorium in Dallas would have been as big, or World Class Championship Wrestling would have been as big as it was.
And I don't disagree with that. Because without the Von Erichs, you would never have the Freebirds.
And without the Freebirds, you wouldn't have entrance music.
Exactly.
Tony, your thoughts?
I think he went too far and too beyond what we asked, because we didn't ask him to make a fucking list. So again, impressive, but not asked for. That's a demerit.
Detention.
And Saturday school.
At a nunnery.
But no, in all actuality, that's a really good list. I didn't hear everything that you put on there on the top 12 because, like the Messiah, I kind of tune everybody out because it sounds like paint drying. But we need to get down to more important business anyways. And that more important business is, ladies and gentlemen, the Cowlitz River Rumble is on sale. Inclusion Pro Wrestling's inaugural show. I can't hear a word you're saying, Messiah, so I'm just going to talk right over you.
I said that's not an easy word to say.
Who's on the card? I'm glad you asked. We are going to have our very first match, a Pacific Northwest staple, an over-the-top rope battle royal. It may be Royal Rumble style. It may be just a battle royal style. We don't know yet. And the significance about this match, ladies and gentlemen, the significance about this match. Oh, there's so much significance in this match. The anticipation, I bet, is killing you guys. Well, let me see. I got to actually go and find this beauty. The winner of the Cowlitz River Rumble match will be crowned the very first. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful belt, ain't she? Cowlitz River, or Cowlitz County champion. That's right. Inclusion Pro Wrestling's Cowlitz County Championship.
Oh, I love the gold flaking in it too. Tap, your thoughts?
It is a gorgeous belt.
Now, not only will we have our inaugural champion crowned the very first match, that champion, being him or her, will have their very first title defense at the same show. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. They win the belt in the Royal Rumble, and later on that night, they have to defend the Cowlitz County Championship. What makes this Cowlitz County Championship so special, you asked? I'm glad again you guys asked. This championship can be defended, if it can be defended 7 times successfully, that's right, 7 successful championship defenses, you can cash this in for option C. What is option C, you ask? Again, I'm glad you guys asked. Option C is a chance at any other title belt in Inclusion Pro Wrestling, singles or tag or even trios when we get trios titles. You defend that title 7 times, you get a choice of any title in the company that you choose. You tell me what other company does that.
Well, the 7 defenses is akin to the NWA. But we're gonna do it better.
Who else is on the card, you may ask? Okay, I'm glad you guys asked that too. We have TNT Tyson Lee. We have Deontay King Ford. We have the Rockabilly Lance Dean. We have Jameson Moonshine. We have Christopher, the man beast, and he thinks he's prettier than everybody. Ryzik. Miss Sunny Days, and don't say where the air is clean to tell me how to get to Sesame Street, because she'll probably hit you with a kendo stick or nunchucks.
She probably couldn't find her way to Sesame Street.
Who else do we have? Ladies and gentlemen, not only are we defending our first championship, we have another championship match from another company where we have Good Son versus Confused Son, with Bad Son being the referee. We have Andrew Michelson versus Tomcat Jones, with referee Cody Campbell refereeing that match. We have CJ Edwards and the guy's last name's Adonis on our card. And there's a few other matches that are being worked out. But that is our partial card for right now. Again, tickets are on sale. $20 general admission, $25 ringside. Start time is 7 p.m. Bell time is 6, or gates open at 6, bell time's at 7. If you guys are hungry the night before, that's right, the night before, Friday night, right after your Black Friday shopping, join us at Bruno's Pizza for the Inclusion Pro Wrestling 2023 class of the Hall of Fame. Dinner tickets are $10 a piece and can be purchased on Eventbrite or by contacting the Messiah or myself. Come say hello to our Hall of Famers.
And I believe we're all going to be at that dinner, correct, Mr. Tapp?
Yep.
And again, Hall of Fame. I'm glad you guys brought that up and asked about that. We've got some pretty huge names going in our Hall of Fame. And some pretty unknown characters going into our Hall of Fame as well. Because we're Inclusion Matters and Inclusion Pro Wrestling, not only are we inducting actually legends of the sport, we are actually inducting animals and objects. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard me correctly. Animals and objects. So let me get through.
Category.
Let me get through the list of inductees, and then I'd like the thoughts from our panel. One of our lead inductees, in fact, one of our feature class inductees, is T-Rex, a man who has refereed over 15,000 matches in his professional career. We have the first ever father-son duo going in to the Hall of Fame. The original Nature Boy,
Sorry.
Buddy Rose. His son, Buddy Highway. And keeping it in the family, ladies and gentlemen, the Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan, will be inducted into the 2023 Hall of Fame. Also being inducted, Lone Star. Again, Inclusion Pro Wrestling would not be possible without Lone Star.
Amen.
Bulldog Bob Brown Jr., or better known as Stuart Kemp, and his wife, along with Lone Star's wife, are inductees into the Hall of Fame. Again, a very personal friend of mine and a man who's very deserving, Mr. Rex Michelson. What some people don't know is he's actually a 20-year vet in this sport and has never had a chance to have a professional match, but is a really good referee. And because it's Inclusion Matters, because it's Inclusion Pro Wrestling, and he's the epitome of what inclusion is, he's one of our inductees into the Hall of Fame. I feel like I'm missing a couple, but I'm getting to the important one, and I'm going to save him to last. Oh yes, we've mentioned animals and objects. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are a podcast of inclusion. We are inducting a rubber chicken by the name of Chicken Bob, a black cat who is T-Rex's best friend, Carl, a suitcase that T-Rex was given to him by the late, great Hall of Famer himself, Hot Rod Roddy Piper, named Harold. But probably the most important object that is getting inducted into this year's Hall of Fame is the Inclusion Pro Wrestling ring. And why is it being inducted into the Hall of Fame? Because like the Battle Royal or the Royal Rumble being a Pacific Northwest staple, our ring in Inclusion is a Northwest staple. This ring was owned by Dan Clausen. Tito has been in this ring. Sandy Barr has been in this ring. Several of our Hall of Fame inductees have been in this ring. And finally, last but not least, and I know he can help me on some of the Hall of Famers if I missed them, the co-owner and the reason Inclusion Pro Wrestling was formed. The featured Hall of Famer for this year's class, none other than the crippled Messiah himself, Nathan Noss.
That's going to be a very humbling night. And no, you didn't miss anybody as far as the other inductees go. And there's one thing I want to say about inclusion, and that I'll give you guys a chance to say something about it. This has been an amazing journey over for me personally over um, the last like almost 40 years. Um, and even though with a great team that I have, putting this together has felt like being on the coolest roller coaster I've ever been on. Having this show on November 25th is gonna be the biggest accomplishment personally that I've ever done. And in case things get crazy that night and I don't get a chance to say it, although I probably will say it in the Hall of Fame speech, uh, to the Heartbreaker Tony, I count my blessings every day that you and I met because honestly, I wouldn't be doing this without you. Uh, I wouldn't be doing this without T Rex, without Rex Michelson, and Pat. I wouldn't be doing this without you because you always keep me on my toes and keep my brain working with all this trivia stuff. So.
You're such a sucker, Messiah. You know that?
No,
that he
no.
is.
This is a sucker.
You mean the sucker that you couldn't open?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I lost to a sucker, and I have no problem saying that. That sucker kicked my ass.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's not the only sucker he sucks on either. That's right. Just keep that sucker in your mouth and keep sucking on it, Mr. Lollipop. Because then at least we don't have to listen to paint drying.
So what's your guys' thoughts now that this show's coming up that we've all worked so hard?
Me personally, I believe it's going to be one amazing show.
Heartbreaker?
Well, me personally, I know it's going to be a successful one because I'm going to be in it. Breaking hearts and taking names like I always do.
Nah, the only problem is if we get the the retirement home group, you'll have to dodge those depends that the women will be throwing up at you in the ring.
No, those will be for you. Because most of those are the women that you live with. And I've heard how much they don't like you there.
Well, we all know that's a lie. Everybody loves me.
Has something to do with that singing, I think is what they said.
You all know I can sing.
Yeah, if you like to hear Glass Break. No, just kidding. Messiah's actually got a really good singing voice. But Anyways, moving forward a little bit more. I'm excited about the show. I really am. I'm actually excited about the Messiah possibly getting hit by 2 women by kendo sticks and nunchucks. And again, I think that sucker won again because we can't hear his voice, which is quite grand.
I said that will happen, and I'll be nice. I won't go into any details about how it'll happen because I'm gonna keep this one away from dogging anybody. So. So, Pat, what's the last thing you want to talk about before we hit our sponsors?
All I want to say is let's give them one heck of a show on the 25th.
Heartbreaker,
So-
what's your last?
In closing, we're going to have one hell of a show, but in closing, the Heartbreaker always has something better than Mr. Messiah and Mr. the Principal Tap, and that is my baseball team is better than both of yours, and you know it.
We shall see on that.
Oh no, he's right. His team already clinched, and your team is gonna barely make it through the playoffs.
And not only has my team clinched, they're within 2 games of clinching home field throughout the entire playoffs. And
not
that is
only
why my team, the Atlanta Braves, is better than you, Mr. Messiah, and you, Mr. Principal Tap. And you know it. Because why is my team so much better than yours? Because when we were down with pitching and everybody was freaking out, oh gee, the Braves are going to lose because they have no pitching, we proved you wrong. The Mariners were in first place for all of 3 days, and they choked. And now they're barely in the wild card race. The Dodgers, they have their good years, they have their bad years. This year's just happens to be a good year. Are they as good as the Braves? Not in a million years.
There's one thing I want to say about the pretend Dodgers. Let's figure out why they're so good. Could it be because they stole one of the Braves' good players, of Mr. Freddie Freeman? Because you can't tell me if you took Freddie Freeman off the Dodgers that they'd be doing as well as they are right now.
I actually disagree with that. As long as the Dodgers have got Mookie, they're still going to be a good team. Yes, Freddie helped them. And yes, Ohtani and Fried will probably help them next year when they get them in free agency. And no, ladies and
Only
gentlemen,
because Seattle doesn't want to open the wallet.
And no, ladies and gentlemen, that's not a fact. That's a spoiler. Sorry, Mr. Heyman, I had to steal your line there for a moment, but that's all I pretty much have for this evening. So,
Mr. Heartbreaker, since you take a running tally of our sponsors, why don't you hit the newer ones and I'll hit the ones that we've had for a while.
Why don't you just let me do my thing? And you sit there and suck on your lolly.
Yes, sir.
That's right. And stroke it a little bit while you suck on it. So we'd like to thank Sterling Honda. We'd like to thank LifeWorks. We'd like to thank Pro Caliber Motorsports. We'd like to thank Burgerville of Longview Kelso. We'd like to thank Bruno's Pizza for not only being a sponsor, but being the official home of our Hall of Fame dinner. We'd like to thank the CARE program. Without Becky and the CARE program, Nathan and I would not have came together, and Inclusion Pro Wrestling would not have been formed. We'd also like to thank Bruce Nichols Painting. And Mr. Messiah, if you could quit sucking on that lollipop, you can finish the sponsors. No? Okay, moving on. We'd like to thank El Ranchero's Mexican Restaurant. Would you like to chime in at all?
We'd also like to thank Los Jalapenos Taqueria and Soul Calibur and Doty's Tattoo in Vancouver, and tell them Small sent you. And I think those might be it, unless I forgot one. Oh, sorry. American Tarps, Rugged Made. And I believe Heartbreaker. Did I forget any?
I think you did.
Who did I forget?
I don't know if
Evan
Heartbreaker-
Watson, American Family Insurance.
My apologies, Mr. Love.
Precision Power Washing. Kathy's Clutters, Event Center, and I just seen it, but I forgot the other part of it. And I believe that is it. So again, we all thank you for listening tonight, and hopefully that gets you guys out to buy our tickets for our show. So until tomorrow night, be well to each other, and please have your host and co-host spaded and neutered. Good night.
Good night.